Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Burley Sew. I'm your host, Purified, and today it's video 3 in the Hatch series. We're going to take a look at how to take an image. I even show you where to get an image for free, for any purpose, for any use legally, and turn that image into a beautiful or cool embroidery design. And the theme is going to be Thanksgiving. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Today is Hatch Video 3. Like I said, it is taking an image and turning it into an embroidery design. We're going to show you where to go get some images here. You're going to want to go to Pixabay if you've never been there. It is free images that you can use for any purpose. There's been other sites, but they're getting bought up. There was one that was just bought by Adobe, and now they charge a large monthly fee. And I'll just show you the terms of service here so you can see that everything is Creative Commons, free for public, commercial, private. There are a few restrictions that you're going to want to read through, so make sure you do that if you're doing anything for commercial use or business purposes. The way they make money is through donations, so if you use the pictures, donate. I do. And it's pretty sweet. You can go and choose what type of images you want to pick from. I'm going to use vectors because they translate the best when you're trying to clean them up and narrow down the number of colors. And as I said, the theme was Thanksgiving. And you can see there's quite a few. This top bar there, those are sponsored pictures. They may not be royalty free. They come from other sites, so be careful with those. But you can scroll down and see all the royalty free pictures to choose from. Lots of good ideas to create your Halloween or Thanksgiving. And I just searched for Thanksgiving here, so. But we'll pick out one and turn it into a design. I think I'm going to keep it simple this time. I'd like to do this turkey here. I think this guy's pretty cute, but we're gonna start off with something easy, and we're gonna do this hat. So we'll just grab this. I'm logged in, and we'll download it, and then we'll import it into Hatch and start our project. We'll take the image that we just downloaded and I'll drag it into the window. You can see the image is quite large, so we're going to want to scale that down, and you can just go to your toolbar up top or wherever you have it located and get it down to a size that's more appropriate for whatever design you plan on creating with your image. Next, what we're going to want to do is prepare our image for embroidery, for digitizing, I should say. And once you get it down to the size that you're comfortable with, then we're going to open up the editor, and you can either connect it to Paint, MS Paint, or you can connect it to Coral, one of the Coral products. I'm using Paint. It's easy enough. We're going to make some changes to this design to make it a little bit more embroidery friendly, and also dumb down the colors so it's a little easier for us to select that later. And another thing that you can do too is if you don't want to use either of those options that are connected to Hatch, you could always use an external editor. I use GIMP and Inkscape quite a bit. They're open source software that's awesome for editing different scenarios for images. But what I'm going to do here is I can show you I can edit these regions very easily, and then it'll import right back into my design, so you don't have to manually do it. It'll automatically do it. And you can see here when I change the colors that there's some remnants of other colors. And that's what we want to eliminate, is any kind of shade differences of similar colors if we can. And I want to get rid of these details here too as well. I'm just going to have a simple hat. Nothing fancy. It's just a little test run. I want to give everybody an idea of how to get started using their awesome Hatch software, and just kind of set the tone for my design. So I'm going with this gray outline, and then I can do away with these little details here because I don't think they're going to stitch well with just a basic design. And you can go in there. I filled that region. You can see there's still a gray shadow there, so you can take a brush and just go around and clean up those edges. And I'll fast forward here, but then you can just kind of work your way around and get the rest of these lines out of there. And if you want, you can follow along at home. I think the directions are simple enough. Showed you where to get the image. You'll be able to get the image too. We'll just finish cleaning up here. And then we'll go back into Hatch, and I'll show you how all you do is just simply save it. You can just pretend like you're going to close it out. It'll ask you if you want to save it. It saves kind of like a temp file, or it saves a file. So now we're done here. That looks good. Save, and our changes transferred over. So right there, we just edited our artwork, and now we're going to prepare our artwork for embroidery, and we're going to reduce the number of colors. You can see there's 15, and we're going to bring that down to the number of colors that you can optically pick up there. There's 5, including the white background. And then you can locate those colors by highlighting them and then clicking locate. And you can see the remnants around there. That's going to create for a little bit more sloppy of a design. So you're going to want to do a little bit more prep work. But for the purpose of this video, I'm trying to keep the time under control. I don't want it too long. We're just going to keep them there. So now we're going to go ahead and digitize this into an embroidery design. And this is awesome. We'll go into the auto digitize toolbox and simply click auto digitize, and there you have it. You're going to want to get rid of this outside, most likely the white. So what you can do is you can just go to the resequence area and then delete it, and it's gone, and now we have just our hat. And then you can see there's some other odd stitch here. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that as well. I'm trying to figure out what it is. I don't think it's any kind of important stitch, so we're going to go ahead and delete that. I'm pretty sure that that is the product of not putting enough prep time into my image that I digitized. MS Paint is a little limited. I'm sure the Coral product has a lot more features that ties into Hatch, but I'll probably stick with doing them externally in something like Inkscape, which is free to download, open source. But we're resequencing here. I'm getting everything the way I want it stacked to embroider. It does matter what order you embroider your design in, so pay close attention to what should lay on top of what. Generally there's enough room, but you just want to make sure that you have it sequenced. And once we get this taken care of, you can also see that the object properties are opened up right next to my resequencer. So if I want to, I can go ahead and change the stitch type, and there's some fill settings and things like that that you can mess around with. We'll get into greater detail on the finer points of all the settings as we work with Hatch in future videos, but just know that right here you can change the texture of the stitch and a lot of its properties right on that object property toolbar or toolbox. Now that we've got our design the way we want it as far as stitches and whatnot, we can go ahead and start playing around with customizing the design. And the first thing I'm going to do is I grouped it right there, and I'm duplicating it, and I'm going to just, mess around, make something quick here for you guys to get an idea of how to use the different tools. And I just reduced it using the simple reduce by 10%. And now I moved it where I want. Now I can rotate it in 15-degree increments by using the button up there. And then there's buttons up there. You can right click, whatever way you're comfortable with. I duplicated it, and now I'll mirror it across the horizontal. And I'll get everything centered the way I want. And just kind of finish customizing my design here and working on the layout. There are features to space your items. I'm just spacing them by hand right now, but if you look at the top next to the position between the ungroup button across the top bar, you can see that there's spacing options up there, and that's followed by the tools that I've used already, which are resizing, and you can input your X and your Y positions if you want to do it that way. And I've touched upon this in other videos. There's many different ways to do a task within Hatch. So find the way that's easiest for you. If you're a right clicker, if you like using toolbars, there's many different options. If you like using the top bar with the drop downs, it's limitless. But what I'll do is I'll get this design the way I want it, and then next we'll add some lettering. And we'll work on getting a nice stitchable design and show you how to export that and work with your stops. So I've played around with my design some, tweaked it the way I want it. I'm going ahead and simply changing some colors around to get the right data on my screen. For when I go ahead and stitch this out, it'll be a nice reminder that brown's next or black's next. But we've got it the way we want it. Let's add some lettering. And we'll just click in the lettering box and type in, because I'm a little goofy, I guess we'll go Happy Thanksgiving. And now we've got our text in there. And next you're going to want to use the select up in the upper left so that you can go ahead and select the text, and now we can change our different fonts. You can see the fonts that drop down there. They have a little stitch next to them. Those are stitch fonts. And now I'm curving it by using the object properties of the text. And I'm going to go ahead and group these things together so I can easily move them since I have them spaced pretty much the way I want it. And we'll center this in our design appropriately. And then we'll put our font above it. And we've got our little Happy Thanksgiving, perfect for a tablecloth or a kitchen towel or whatever. Maybe if I want to ungroup this and just move these over just a little bit. But now you get the picture. So next we'll show you how to rearrange and optimize the stops. Now that we have all these objects on here, you don't want it stitching and you're changing out your colors several times. So let's optimize that process. And now that I'm happy with the design, we can go to the Edit Objects toolbox. And you'll see you can optimize the color change as well as the resequence. I'm going to go into resequence to show you how it's all out of order, but when we optimize the color changes, we're going down from 12 to 4. So it's going to take all of our light colors and place them so it'll stitch out all the black, the brown, the gray, and the yellow, just the way you had it sequenced individually. It'll do all those first colors first for the whole group of items. And that's incredibly handy right there. 12 color change, or 12 color changes down to 4. I'm all for that. And now we can do a mock stitch out of our item. Just hit the little play button here on the left, and you can see it stitching out. You can change the speed up top. You can skip colors. There's a whole toolbar of features up there. Shows you what color it's in graphically with the timeline on the left upper. And then next we'll go ahead and save and output our design. And to do that, we'll just go to, obviously, the Output Design tab, and we'll save the file as an EMB. That's an editable file that you can work on further, not an output design file, which we're going to save next. And I'm saving as a PES because that's the type of file that my machine takes. Save whatever type you need. And next we'll work on stitching out our design, and we'll wrap up. So we'll just show you a few clips of the stitch out process and the end product. I used some very cheap broadcloth just to test this design. I always like to do a test run because if you need to go back to your machine and do some tweaks, you haven't ruined your project. It's always a good idea to use something similar to what you're actually going to be stitching on at the end if you can, but you want to do it in an inexpensive way. This broadcloth is a much flimsier material than what I'm going to end up stitching this on, which may be, I'm thinking like a linen or a towel. But for the sample, it's turning out pretty good. Like I said earlier, the cleaner design maybe would have been a little bit cleaner stitching. This is pretty good. It's not perfect. But that's what you guys need to know about embroidery, is that sometimes it's trial and error, and it's learning, and it's practicing. I would clean this one up a little bit, but I think it turned out pretty good. And I think it gave you folks a great idea on how easy it is to just take an image for free and turn it into an embroidery design. So I'd like to say thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please share it with your friends. Please subscribe if you haven't. Go back to the channel to check out the other hatch videos and my many other sewing and embroidery videos that I have up. We'll see you next time on Burley Sew.